Hello, 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 y'all. We are getting into the thick of it. Okay.
Hmm.
The last two episodes have been explosive. This one was a little bit of a filler. We're getting
Yeah.
towards the end of the season, but it's still good nonetheless. So let's just get right into the recap, Aaron.
Listen, y'all. On this particular episode, Meech gets introduced to three of his new teammates: Bingo, Big Foley, and C-No. That's how the episode starts off. Now, I don't know if we're going to see these characters later on in the show, but as for this episode, we only see them like one time and maybe like cameo appearances here and there. So I really don't think they're going to play a big
And he's
part of
back in
it.
Atlanta, right?
He's back in Atlanta. We also seen that Angel is cozied up with Glock now, like she said, and she gives her reasoning for it at the end. But it's
Were you
really already what
surprised
we
though?
know.
Because you said on the last episode that you don't think that Glock was going to really fuck with her like that.
I didn't think so, but I feel like maybe he is for his own advantage because he knows that her ass is gonna run back to Meech. So it's kind of like he's using her as a little ragamuffin, a little
Strategy.
rag doll.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm surprised that Meech isn't really mad. Well, I'm not really surprised because he respects the hustle, and I know ultimately he would. But I just didn't think he would as much as he did because he really gave her like a lot of grace. Because I really
Too
wanted
much.
him to snatch her ass up, be like,
Too
"Stop
much.
playing with me." So Markeisha's cop side piece, uh, Vince pays a visit to Terry, and he right now he's trying to act like a bad boy. He threatened Terry and said that he was gonna get the IRS involved because y'all know they're running that restaurant shit and they got all that money back there and they're not claiming that on their tax return. So at that point, that has Terry kind of shook, but he plays it real cool. And now this just made me not like Vince at all. So the whole storyline with him and Markeisha, I don't give a fuck about it no more.
So it pissed you off.
Yeah, it really pissed me off. Lucille, Lawanda, and everybody, they go to this women's conference. And I guess this is kind of like this is Lucille's test run to see how she would be as co-op pastor. So we kind of see her get a little bit involved, but I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of that because it seemed like the main pastor took lead. But I'm like, if this is about Lucille becoming co-op pastor, I felt like she's had a few messages throughout the season. It would have been nice to see her say a word at that moment.
Yeah. I think that especially because these past few episodes, she's just been so conflicted, and especially because both of her kids are like, "Hey, look at what you doing." She
Right.
really is kind of shy to really take lead in that because she kind of feels like a hypocrite, but at the same time, to err is to be human. So
You're
she
right.
needs to go ahead and get into it because she deserves it. And okay, so well, no, I'll save that to the end of the episode. Go ahead.
So Lucille is still contemplating whether or not she wants to be co-op pastor, like you said. Charles is ready, still on let's get our family back together type of tip. But Lucille is making it clear. She's like, listen, I'm still booking around with Maurice a little bit. So I really don't know how this is gonna work. I know you want your family back, and maybe I'll show up to the gigs because he's supposed to be playing with the Campbell brothers, but Lucille is kind of like, can I bring Maurice? And I was like, now you really showing out. You are really showing out.
She
This is
is showing her whole booty this
mm-hmm.
season. And I'm here for it because
Are you?
she's showing it, but she's not like that disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like she's not straight up
Yeah.
like hunching on this man and then lying and sneaking around and all this stuff. She's straight up like,
Being
I'm dating
truthful.
this other man and we are going on dates. And yeah, you know him. So it's if you want to pursue me, you can continue to pursue me. If not, then I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to continue to go about my life. And I think that the biggest thing here is she's also not trying to rush into anything with the doctor right now. She's still like, maybe I don't want neither one of these men. Maybe I want to choose me.
Yeah, maybe she wants to choose her. And I think Charles is having a tough time with accepting that. I think he's so, and maybe that's just a man thing in general. I think when men mess up, they kind of expect for things to like smooth over a lot faster. But as we can see, that's not really working. So that's a whole
Right.
thing. But after that, we see that Nicole is getting all cozy up with her new boo, the boy who's been coming to her house a little bit and trying to play video games and check on her and make sure she's good. But he writes her a cute little letter and he asks if she will be his girlfriend, and she checked yes. Um, Now him and his friend go in the store to get a box of condoms. And Nicole's boyfriend, makes it very clear that him and Nicole are taking their time and they have no plans of having sex anytime soon, which is, I thought it was really cute to see. But
Yes.
Terry catches them, he snatches Nicole's ass out of the car and he embarrasses her. And this makes me feel really bad for Nicole because I'm like, she just can't catch no
Because the way
break.
that she could be acting is like
Mm-hmm.
her mom pressured her into taking birth control, which kind of messed with her head a little bit. And then now her brother thinks that she is doing the deed. And it's like, I could be out here like running these streets like you are treating me. In
Mm-hmm.
reality, her and her boyfriend are actually like taking it slow, thinking it through, and are still actually like young and innocent, which is a refreshing storyline to see because a lot of the times we'll see a storyline and it'll just be a young girl and she's thoughting and bopping and she just ends up pregnant. So,
Exactly. Exactly. But it seems like she's moving in a good direction with the boy. I just feel bad for her because it's like it's always her being put on the spot and getting embarrassed.
mhm,
So that happens. We also see a scene of Remi Ransom, and right now he's not playing around. His friend, what's his homie's name? The one that traded over and went over to Meech.
mhm.
He cuts the tongue out that man's mouth because he catches on to what's going on. He's like, I know you're working with Meech, and I'm gonna have to kill you.
And I mean, as harsh as it is, that's real. That's real.
Yeah, as
That's
harsh
what
as
that
it
life is
is.
about. And I actually wish that Remy would, for the, especially because you kind of see throughout the season that he really cares for his community and he feels bad about what happened, especially in the, I think it was the Battle of the Techwood episode or episode 5. Whenever all that went down, he really feels bad about obviously what happened. I wish he would put his pride aside and try to at least, make some kind of peace instead of like just continuously going to war because the threat is bigger than Meech at this point.
And he doesn't understand that, but it'll soon catch up to him and we'll see. But that definitely took a point off of me liking Ransom because at first I was like, okay, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but now it's just like you're being unreasonable. And you had no reason to do this to this man because the man was really trying to get him on a good path. Like his intent was genuine. He had no intent in hurting Remy.
The problem with that is that you doing this behind my back when I told you straight up what the plan was. So if I don't stand on my word and you don't
Yeah.
respect me as a man, this is unfortunately the life that we live.
I'm just ready for him to get blasted at this point. Uh
Damn, you want to kill Remy?
yeah, because I didn't like that. That was like I was like, I don't like that he did that. Because I also felt like that was somebody that was very close to him. I can understand y'all nooking and
Right,
bucking.
right,
But to kill that man, I just thought that was a
right.
bit much and snapped and then cut his tongue out. Like, what the fuck do you got going on?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Powder
so
in these streets.
is it crack? Um,
It is actually.
Meech is at the auto shop coming up with a plan to stop the Red Dogs because they keep stopping people and catching them, and he's really catching on to people hiding the drugs. They keep hiding the drugs in the damn glove, not the glove compartment, but that little side compartment panel in your car that's on
Mm-hmm.
your damn front door. They
Yeah.
keep hiding it in there, so they keep ripping it open. And Meech is like, "Well, is there any way that we can hide this somewhere else where the cops won't suspect it?" So now they have it. It's a little compartment under the ignition, it seems, to the right. So they start putting it there, and that's like a whole thing. Uh, let's see. Henrietta's uncle comes by to pay her a visit. We haven't really met him yet, and I still don't know who he is. That's the one thing about BMF though. Sometimes they'll introduce characters, and I'm like, well, who this?
And they do it in a way that's like you're supposed to know this person. And I was like, hey, he ain't say it. He ain't come in and speak. You know, black people gotta come in
Right.
and speak.
And you gotta say something. And he did speak to Henrietta, but he didn't speak to us, the audience.
Right.
So I was just like, I don't know who this is, but it does seem like he's Team Henrietta. And he makes it clear that he doesn't like the way Henrietta's dad is treating her. So for that, he's like, mm-mm.
So she may have an ally on her side.
Yeah, she may have an ally on her side. Terry comes up with an idea to prevent Detective Vince, not Detective Vince, but Officer Vince from calling the IRS on his ass. And it has something to do with lottery tickets. He explained it, but it was too long. Um, and I could not obtain all
It's
that
just
information.
some unsavory shit that's going on that he had
Yeah.
to hold above him, and just
After
that
he
was
said it,
it.
I was like, I'm proud of you. And I hope
Like,
it
okay,
works.
that problem is over with. Thank you.
But Markeisha seems to be supporting him in the ways that he needs. Uh, Terry also puts Officer Vince in his place because, of course, he shows up at the bar and then tries to man one up on Terry again. And at this point, Terry knows his whole routine, what he does in the morning, how he eats his egg McMuffin, like when he
Yeah,
goes home
he
to watch
runs
Wheel of
down his
Fortune.
schedule in front of him. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was like, that was something that Meech would do. So I feel like he's learning
Yeah.
from Meech instead of painting his fucking toenails. Of course, with Markeisha, he figures out how to fucking be a man, but with everything else, he's lollygagging and all that shit.
But I'm like, what is it about Markeisha that got these niggas going? Just bonkers.
Losing their mind, like beefing with hood niggas,
Like,
beefing
she
with
don't get
cops,
me wrong,
beefing.
she's a beautiful woman, but all
That's
this
so,
shit
oh, yes.
to go
And
through
she got
this,
like 3, 4 kids, and she got a crazy ass boyfriend in jail that's killing people from the inside. So like,
I just don't understand. Henrietta and Detective Veronica, they're bonding. Detective Veronica has on this blonde wig, and I don't know. I
she's
just
giving
kind of
atomic blonde.
she is. You see her? That's them right there. They was
Mhm.
out and about. I kind of like their chemistry together, and I want to see where this takes Detective Veronica because it seems like she's already kind of corrupt. I hate to say it that
Right,
way. I feel
because what
like
happened
yeah,
to that brick that she hid from earlier this season?
it's gone.
And you know, like she talks to her dad, and her dad is like, "Listen, at the end of the day, they go in," and she's like, "You know what,
Hmm.
Daddy, you're right." So I definitely, it can go either way. She can either, you know, help Henrietta for real, or she could, you know, be on Detective Bryant's side and really,
I
you
feel
know,
like
get
she
on
gonna
her.
start
I don't
slitting
know.
throats soon.
Ooh, you think so? She gonna
Yeah,
like re you know,
reinvent herself a little bit,
reinvent
and
herself
her
and
daddy
be
gonna be
who she
like,
was on X2.
I would like to see it. Lucille shows up at Charles' gigs because you know he played for the Campbell brothers, so yeah, and they seem to be happy, but Lucille is still. I think she's. It's just a bunch of back and forth that I keep seeing because I think Charles is. I think Charles, his intentions are good. Clearly, he's saying all the right things. Clearly, she sees that he wants to be a better man for her, and it's like he's really showing out and doing all the things.
He's really making an effort, and I can agree on that.
Yeah,
But I just can't stand it because it's like, okay, after you done winning that woman raw, like now you want to make the effort.
and
This
he's
is
like,
too
"Oh
much,
no,
huh?
baby, don't go."
The whole lifetime, we got kids in the house together. We got dreams. I'm building a house. And it's just like, dude, why do you want to act right now after you cheated on me raw?
Oh
Like,
my
why
gosh,
does
baby,
it
please
take?
don't leave because I'm building a house and I got Bob the Builder coming over. They just got all this stuff going on, baby. You gotta trust me.
Yours is exactly on point.
You gotta trust me, Lucille.
I wrote this song.
I wrote this song for you. And Lucille is like, yeah, he wrote a song. And, you better call him and y'all better work with him because he got talent. And she's really vouching for him. And I ultimately want to see them together, but I still want her to fuck around with Maurice a little bit more.
Right.
I'm not
Okay, I
done with
can
that.
get on that. I can get on that. I either fuck around Maurice more or I want her to like pick herself.
Exactly. I would like to see that. Meech gets a special delivery. He's at the club and they're dancing, but he gets a special delivery from Remi Ransom. And it is a bowl filled with ice. At the bottom of the bowl is a head, and it's the head of the guy that he snatched the tongue out of.
Did that gag you literally?
A little, I mean, a little bit because it was kind of creepy. And I was like, there are moments like this in BMF where I'm like, is this real or are y'all over exaggerating?
I think that's the difference because if it happened, just like with this flamethrower moment here,
Yeah.
if these things happen in power, I would be like, okay, this makes sense because power is, it's not
not,
real.
yeah.
Since BMF is based on a true story, and I understand that not everything is like fiction. I mean, the truth. It just seems like when they do things like send a head or whatever, it's just like, okay, is this actually happening in real
How
life?
dramatic can we get? Angel pays Meech a little visit and she warns him to watch out because of course somebody is lurking and trying to get him. And yeah, but she's still gonna fuck with Glock, so it really don't matter. And then Meech almost gets caught up. He goes to the hotel with the two girls, and somebody just comes in shooting, and he manages to throw them out of the hotel window. And I thought that was crazy. I was like, damn.
I kind of like that though, even though like that is also another thing where I'm like, did this happen? In that moment, I'm like, hell yeah, Meech. Because the
One
thing
thing
is, Meech
about
always
Meech,
gets it
right?
popping.
He
Like,
always gets it popping, and there's never a time where I'm like, Meech needs help. Like, I don't
right,
worry about Meech. Terry, on the other
ever,
hand, I worry about Terry.
all the time.
Because I'm like, he's just
People can catch him
Markeisha.
lacking.
It's
Markeisha, his
always going to
baby
be Markeisha.
mama.
It's not even LaWanda, it's Markeisha. For some reason, I don't know what type of shit Markeisha got on her. But it's like every time Markeisha comes, it's like he turns into Charles and he's like, oh no, baby, don't go. Like, I just can't live my life like this. And then he's telling her,
That's his daddy's son.
he's telling her all his plans. And I'm like, why are you telling her this information?
Every move. Because, okay, we also have to remember Markeisha on here, she's supposed, well, in real life, she's like 40, 41, 42. But on here, she's playing 26, 27. And Terry is still, I don't even know if he's old enough to drink or so. So she is able, especially since because she has been with such a prominent drug dealer, she's able to kind of like say the right things and kind of shape his mind and manipulate him because she has a few years on him.
Yeah. And then in real life, the lady is like, no, this didn't happen.
Yeah, and she's like, I was not with an underage like child at 26. So and she's
I
like,
don't know
if
why
you want the
y'all
real
are.
story, go on BET Plus called First Lady of BMF. Thank you. Fuck you all.
Did
And
you
she's like,
watch
fuck
that?
Allah. No, because I don't have BET Plus. Like someone send me their fucking login.
That does sound interesting, but I don't know if I want to see it. I kind of want to believe
I
this
only want
story.
to see it because I want to see how she compares to the Marquisha that we're seeing portrayed on the show.
Right.
And I also saw this like BMF documentary that I'm like, oh, I'm like connecting dots here that things are playing out because the BMF documentary is really good. It's on Stars. You guys should check that out, and you should check it out for sure. Like they tell the real story of went down and who
I think I seen
Markeisha is
that
and who
when they came out with it because it played. I want to say it played like after.
plays right after. But
Yeah.
it's more interesting because we get
Mm,
further along in the story. Now we have them going to St. Louis. We have them in Atlanta. I
mm,
think they're going to take another trip this season. So it makes a lot of sense, especially the part where there's going to be a part where they figure out how to hide drugs in the car
mm.
better, and they talk about that in the real documentary. Like they were actually like, obviously drug dealing is not good, but if you look at the whole thing, they had stood on familial values. That's why it's called Black Mafia Family. They were really about the family part, but then they were also innovators. Like they were the first people to really like trick out these cars so you could put more drugs in them. So it's just like, I
Yeah,
know that what they did was bad, but it was also very smart and creative.
it was. It was. Yeah, but you guys check this episode out. I think it was pretty good. It is a filler episode, I'll be honest, but overall I thought it was pretty good. Especially towards the end. Now at the beginning it is a slow start, but once we get like past a certain part, I'm like, okay, it's picking up again.
Do you think that Detective Veronica is going to fall for Henrietta romantically?
I do. I do because they're so
The way it's
different.
going,
And it seems like, bro, and it's not just this, it's like Detective Veronica just has a history of being attached to that toxic ass shit. She
I
likes
also
it.
think that we're seeing maybe like kind of, maybe I misread obviously her relationship with the new detective that died
Mhm.
out of nowhere. But I felt like, I don't know, maybe Detective Veronica is also having like a queer storyline here where she's kind of like, being more open with it, or maybe rediscovering
Yeah.
herself.
I also think a part of her wants to help out these people because she kind of sees the way things are going in this particular community. And maybe this isn't something that she paid attention to in her life, but I think with Detective Brian, she sees how the system treated Kev, and she's seeing how
Yeah.
distraught Detective Brian is. So it's like these are people that are close to you and they are
Right.
black. So
Right.
it's like, and they're in a certain community. So she's just seeing all this shit firsthand, and it's kind of crazy to her, I think. So maybe a part of her wants to help, but the other part of her has a love for being a cop, being a detective, working for the force. So
It's two lives pulling you.
we're seeing these two lives intersect and kind of crash into each other in such a beautiful way.
Yes, and I like the stories within the stories here, even though some of them are like it's too quick, too fast, or I don't know what was the point of it. I do like seeing stories within stories because we have the main storyline, which is obviously Meech, and then we have the other main storyline, which is obviously Terry. Then we have the storyline with Charles and Lucille, and then we have this storyline, and then we have the storyline with Nicole. It's just like these
Mhm.
little story, Markeisha, Lawanda, like these little
Yeah.
things add up to make such a good show. There's a lot of layers to it, and it's okay to have a filler or episode or two, a season,
Yeah.
especially when you have a show that's so good. So we can't wait to see what happens next week, and we hope that y'all are enjoying the show and enjoying the reviews.
Shout out to y'all and shout out to them. Love y'all.
Bye.